Non-Muslim scientists who converted to Islam. Welcome to Seeker channel. We shall learn why some prominent scientists turned to Islam in this video. Holy Quran is what led to their conversion. They are the foremost authorities in their fields, and they have knowledge about things that nobody else knows or has yet learned. However, if no one had any prior knowledge of how universe operates, how living things function, or how life originated, then how is it that these topics are accurately described in the Quran? They discovered Islam as the one true faith as a result of their curiosity that this universe and all other universes are under the command of a superior force. Allah knows the known and unknown. They cannot further deny this universal truth. There are several scientists that we can discuss, but we will just talk about a few of the most well-known scientists. Number 1. Maurice Bukael. Maurice Bukael was born to a French family. He was a Christian. He was the most renowned and cleverest surgeon ever in modern France. France asked Egypt in the late 80s for the mummy of Egypt's pharaoh so that it could conduct a string of monumental and processing experiments. Professor Maurice Bukael was the senior surgeon and the scientist in charge of the study of this mummy of the pharaoh. Late at night, he concluded his final analyses. The remains of the salt stuck in his body were shining evidence that he had drowned, and that his body was retrieved from the sea swiftly after he drowned. But Maurice Bukael puzzled over a question: how did this body, to the exclusion of other mummified bodies of other ancient Egyptians, remain intact although it was recovered from the sea? While he was busy preparing a final report, when one of his fellow members whispered in his ear, saying there is no need to rush about this issue since the Muslims say that this pharaoh did drown. Another one accompanying him surprised him more when he told him that the Muslims' Quran, which they believe, narrates the story that says he drowned and that his body remained intact even after he drowned. He got more surprised and kept on asking where did the Muslims' Quran quote these data from. While the mummy was not discovered until 1898, that is about 200 years only, given that the Quran has been recited by Muslims for over 1,400 years. Since he knew about the story circulated by Muslims on the intactness of this body, he decided to pack his baggage and travel to Saudi Arabia, where a medical conference happened to be held with a number of Muslim anatomists attending. There, he told them about his discovery, that Pharaoh's body was kept intact even after he drowned. One of the attending member opened the Quran and read out the verse in which Allah Almighty said, "So today we will safely deliver you with your body that you may be assigned to the one succeeding you, and surely many among mankind are indeed heedless of our signs." In his excitement, he stood before the attendants and loudly said, "I have converted to Islam and believed in this Quran." He wrote an earth-shaking book on the Holy Quran which jolted the entire Western states, with the title of the book reading, "The Bible, the Quran and Science, the Holy Scriptures examined in the light of modern knowledge." Number 2. Keith L. Moore. He was a professor of anatomy in the Faculty of Surgery at the University of Toronto. Moore was asked to give a lecture on anatomy and embryology at King Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia in 1980. The King Abdulaziz University's Embryology Committee contacted Dr. Moore when he was in Saudi Arabia to ask for his help in reinterpreting some Quranic texts and hadiths that discussed human reproduction and embryological development. Moore expressed his astonishment at the scientific accuracy of some of the statements which were made in the 7th century. Professor Keith Moore says in his book The Developing Human, "It is clear to me that these statements must have come to Muhammad, peace be upon him, from God or Allah, because most of this knowledge was not discovered until many centuries later. This proves to me that Muhammad, peace be upon him, must have been a messenger of God or Allah," he further said. "I have no difficulty in my mind reconciling that this is a divine inspiration or revelation which led him to these statements." In the same manner, he acquired more information on embryology that was not known to him, from the Quran. Dr. Keith Moore answered about 80 questions dealing with embryological data mentioned in the Quran and Hadith. Noting that the information contained in the Quran and Hadith was in full agreement with the latest discoveries in the field of embryology, Professor Moore said, "If I was asked these questions 30 years ago, I would not have been able to answer half of them for lack of scientific information. Number 3, Gerald C Goringer, Professor and Coordinator of Medical Embryology in the Department of Cell Biology at Georgetown University, Washington, D.C. Sheikh Abdulmajid Zindani met with Professor Goringer and asked him whether in the history of embryology was there any mention of the different stages of embryonic development, or whether there existed any embryological texts at the time of the Prophet. Sheikh Zindani also asked his opinion regarding the terms the Quran uses to describe the different phases of fetal development. After several long discussions, he presented a study at the 8th Saudi Medical Conference. In a relatively few Quranic verses, is contained a rather comprehensive description of human development from the time of commingling of the gametes through organogenesis. No such distinct and complete record of human development such as classification, terminology, and description existed previously. In most, if not all instances, this description antedates by many centuries of the recording of the various stages of human embryonic and fetal development recorded in the traditional scientific literature. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell for more videos.